Our forefathers taught us to tolerate, to embrace brotherhood. Now, according to our respectful constitution, we have been teaching children, we have been spread hatred amidst people, amidst children. Tolerate the belief of another person. Now, in schools, we cannot have spiritual indifference, discrimination. But I'm telling that when it comes to schools, I have seen the rivalry becomes bigger and bigger. And now, that doesn't mean that leaders are not capable of miscommunicating. It happens knowingly, and also are very rigid with their ideas and beliefs, saying that I have been doing this for 40 years. I don't think I have to learn anything. Most of us get excited when we speak about our schools, our childhood. We have a lot of unprecedented happenings around the world, dangerous things happening, and we cannot deny that schools also undergo such dangerous situations. Certain things are to be taken into consideration, especially when it comes to our children's education. I thought of bringing up this topic today because it's very important. We know that education, curriculum, the syllabus, everything is undergoing a change these days for the better. When we have a lot of educational leaders and board members working towards revamping the curriculum, the educational system, I think we need to take note of these simple points. The first point is, I'm sure that you know the meaning of this, but today, because of the modern terms, sometimes there is misinterpretation. Our forefathers taught us to tolerate, to embrace brotherhood, and we practice secularism. Now, according to our respectful constitution, we have been teaching children, we have been practicing tolerating beliefs, ideology, the difference in faith, discipline, right? Now, when it comes to a school, specifically a school, because that's where we encourage students to learn. We encourage learning, studying, academics, shaping, grooming, molding the future generation. When that's the case, we need to teach the children to tolerate the differences, the different belief systems that's existing in the present world, and not to spread hatred amidst people, amidst children. Now, we will say that children, they are ignorant of many things. They don't know. Actually, they are very clear than us. Children are very clear, not just today. Children are very clear about what they want. It's not about tantrums, but there are a lot of mature children who know what they want, who are very particular about their shortcomings, their strength, their weakness, and all that. Every day they go through this grooming process. Now, when that's the case, it's important for us to show them that there is a significant need to embrace and also to tolerate the belief of another person. Now, in schools, we cannot have spiritual indifference, discrimination. There are a lot of schools who just force, enforce, impose different beliefs. Now, some management, some organization may believe, or they may have a particular ideology that they have been following for years, which is okay. That's fine. It happens all over the country. But still, some schools enforce. They force the students to follow a particular ideology, in the sense, first they introduce and then they start mocking the other belief systems in an indirect way. I don't think that is encouraging. I mean, that's to be encouraged, because childhood is a phase where we have to teach children the goodness, the kindness, and the important, significant points of every belief system. A belief system is a part of our culture. We have different religions, we have different faith systems, we have different ideologies interpolating and also coexisting. That's the uniqueness of our country. That is how we spread unity in diversity, right? So when that's the case, we cannot impose certain things on children and say this is the only path that you have to take and the other things are not right. They will decide what is right and wrong. We can just show them the path. If we're going to force them to believe something that's not their choice, then of course all of us will face the consequence, right? That is all about the future generation. The next point is, when it comes to schools, we have got a lot of competitions. It's good to have competitions, co-curricular activities, because that's a place where children and teachers, even parents, explore and even discover the artistic skills, the sports skills, and everything of a child. Children get groomed, they get molded in their childhood days. I don't think it's good to encourage large scale sale of products within the school. Now, when it comes to children, they may have ideas, they may make and create things, and selling those products on a small scale is fine. It's a sort of encouragement. And some schools have got the license, or they have got the authority, they're authorized to do it. But sometimes it so happens that teachers and parents, they sell their products where they introduce different brands. No. Now, when you have a carnival, when you have a kind of art competition or an exhibition, it's important to display the makings, the creation of children, and not of people from the other parts of the society, because they have other chances of doing it. I don't think it's wise to encourage other professionals creating their molds or display their talents within the school grounds. Of course, they have other places to display their talents and to introduce their products. But when it comes to children, they need to do certain things, and we need to encourage their creation, not somebody else's, where elders and professionals sit together and display things pretending to be the work of children. That's what I'm trying to say. Because when children are supposed to display something, let us give them the chance and not the professionals. Professionals are trained, otherwise they have been into this for many years, or that's a different level, even if they don't have any experience. But when it comes to children, let them make their own things with their own ideas and let them explain, elaborate. All that the teachers will have to do, the elders, the parents will have to do, is to guide them, to tell them that this could be another way of expressing your idea. Show them the right and wrong methods if they are in the wrong track. But otherwise, bringing in something that is of a large scale production within the school grounds and then selling it, even if there is a tie-up with the school, is not a good practice within the school hours. Because that's not the kind of idea that we need to give to the children. It's more about their creativity, their co-curricular activities. Even when it comes to a stage performance, we encourage the children to perform and also to display their talents, to showcase whatever they have learned. Even if it's just a 3-minute speech, it can be done beautifully. Help is different from pretending to be something else, someone else. When they need to do it, they should do it. We just have to guide them, because gradually we are instilling the wrong ideas of art, of creativity, of the making in children. Now, when it comes to competition, we have got inter-school competition, we have got interstate competitions, or even district level competitions, whatever it is. It's to instill the values, the qualities of leadership, coordination, teamwork, and also sportsman spirit, right, in children. Like, you have to discuss, then you will have to bring up something or do something individually as a team, whatever we are aiming at. But sometimes teachers will show rivalry with each other, and sometimes it develops into a cold war where the children learn from the teachers. Now, when there is a competition, of course, the purpose is to bring the children to the stage, encourage them to perform, to give their best during a competition. But generally, it becomes a competition among teachers, which spreads hatred, rivalry, and then the teamwork gets disrupted. It's not just the teachers, but it's a play of the whole team. We cannot just blame one particular group. Like, after the competition also, this prolongs the bad air of attitude. It keeps lurking. What's the need for all this? Children forget very easily, and then they are ready to patch up, okay, most of the time. But I'm telling that when it comes to schools, I have seen the rivalry becomes bigger and bigger, and it extends just because one group is talented than the others, or the other group is more skilled, or maybe they are having more creative ideas. I don't think we have to encourage all these things within the school, because children carry on these ideas, these values. Now, speaking about moral values and discipline, when I was at school, we had a period where teachers used to spend some time for moral science, value, discipline, such kind of things, where they teach songs in English, Arabic, Hindi, spreading goodness, kindness, and such kind of things. But today, very few schools have these hours or periods, but most of the time it is devotional songs, prayer song. Now, everything is important. When it comes to the beginning of a day, it's important to have that reverence, spiritual bonding, meditation. All these things are important to begin the day, good practices, okay, which is a part of our culture, tradition, and also something that's good for the well-being of our body and mind. But sometimes it takes a wrong turn where children are not given the right idea. It's more about imposing certain practices that do not even adhere to commonality, to spirituality, or to even meditation, because that's not what people teach. It's not to spread hatred or to discriminate and marginalize the other. It's always tolerating and accepting the differences. Now, when they do it indirectly, but it can have heavy damage on the children and the staff working in that particular place. The next point is communication. I've been repeatedly speaking about this. Even now, when I talk to teachers, I tell them, you are the bridge of communication, okay, with students, with parents, and with the management. Now, that doesn't mean that leaders are not capable of miscommunicating. It happens knowingly and also unknowingly. Sometimes when the leader miscommunicates, it affects the whole team. And most of the time, urgent concerns and suggestions, sometimes advice from the outsiders, are taken as feedback. Now, feedback is something that is of a choice. You can either take it or reject it. Now, when you get a constructive feedback, I think it's important to take action, and they just consider it as feedback, mostly the leaders, saying that it's okay, we have been doing it for years. The next point supports and substantiates the previous one: senior teachers. Now, when we have a lot of leaders working towards the betterment of the curriculum, the syllabus, the higher education, and everything, whatever is happening, even though we have got fissures and we still have to work on several aspects, when there are a lot of seniors working towards the betterment of learning, the attitude of a teacher should be to relearn, unlearn, and sometimes learn. Okay, we are learners for life. Not only teachers, every day, whatever profession you have chosen, you need to learn something, you need to be updated. Now, I have seen senior teachers who are very rigid with their ideas and beliefs, saying that I have been doing this for 40 years, I don't think I have to learn anything. It's not just about planning a lesson or putting something on the Google Drive or sending emails or being tech savvy, as we call it, but it's more about, working with a plan or working with the students in a better way, with the children, customizing the needs, because skill is important today. For the past 5 years, we have been working on skills specifically. Even before that, schools claim to have started working on skills, but now it's just skills. We don't want people who just stick to the books. I'm not speaking about bookworms. People who just mug up everything, rote learning. That's not the method that we are following now. When that's the case, I think teachers with experience should be role models. And we have a lot of freshers today who have better ideas than the senior teachers. It's not because of their qualification. There are a lot of passionate people who are into the field. At the same time, I also come across senior teachers who study every day, who learn new things, who experiment and break the records just like that. So it's not about the age or the experience. It's just about your willingness. Yeah, you may retire from your profession, but you cannot retire from teaching and learning. As long as you have the health and the potential and the capability, I think it's important to be a learner and also a teacher. You may not take classes for students, you may not be learning every day, but still it's a part of life. The last point that I would like to mention is when it comes to correcting people, when it comes to correcting students, also there are different ways in which we need to do that. Even I do that. I learn every day how to correct the adults. It's not very easy to correct adult learners. Just like children, we need to be very careful with the psychology and different aspects. It's not anybody's problem. Now, when it comes to school leaders, also principals, correspondents, or anybody dealing with a team, there are people who just barge into the class and throw all their ideas onto the teacher. I have seen a lot of senior teachers doing that. They just come into the class and in front of the children, they speak in a very rash way, saying, no, that is not the way to teach, even without observing the class. It's important to observe a class. It's important to give feedback to each other. It's important to also give constructive criticism because it helps in the growth. But otherwise, you just walk into a class, you just barge in and say, I've got 40 years of experience, you know nothing about what's happening in the class, and you decide for yourself, saying that, no, that's not the way to teach. So this is something that has got a lot to do with assumptions and presumptions, right? Today, we are into active learning methods where children may have to walk out of the seat, they may have to do certain activities in the corner of a classroom, then come back and then experiment with certain things and then give their review or feedback, whatever you're dealing with. Maybe they'll have to be taken to the lab and then brought. So discipline is important. It's not that you always tell them stand in a line, form a line and things like that. It is important, but we should allow it to happen. We cannot be so rigid and strict with these things. When people get bored, children also get bored, they also get fed up with all the instructions and everything that's been done. Repetition is important when it comes to learning and disciplinary methods, but we cannot always impose and judge people like that just because of one instance. When you don't know anything about the ground level, I don't think none of us has got the right to form opinions or to write these certificates. We can just give suggestions and feedback. I hope all these points help you, not just as teachers, but also as leaders, parents, people listening. You have your dear and near ones studying in schools, teaching in schools, also preparing to become leaders. So I think all these points are important, and also as parents, as people who don't have any direct connection with the school, it's very important for us to realize and identify these things as a society. Okay? Happy learning.